Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and in this episode, if everything goes to plan, we'll be starting the Roxster. All right, guys, welcome back. And as many of you will have seen, I have been working on this car, my 1998 Porsche Boxster, and putting an Audi V8 engine into the back of it. And it's been a reasonable process working my way through and getting everything connected up. And I think I'm actually there. So if you've missed it, I'll put a link up above so you can catch up. But we are at the pointy end now, and I am hoping in this episode that I can actually start the car. You guys probably know better than I do by the title of this video. So at the moment, it's all up in the air. I've got all of the bits and pieces in place, and I'm going to have to go through it in this episode, make sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to, calibrate all of the signals to the ECU and get the ECU set up, make sure all the wiring is connected up properly, and get it ready to actually kick it over. A couple of comments from the last video. There were lots of people mentioning about the aluminium radiator tubes that are close together and aren't supported. I'm just waiting on some P-clips to put in there. That's obviously going to be sorted out. First things first, I think I need to put some oil in the engine, and then we can start going through all the bits and pieces on the ECU and make sure everything is connected up, doing what it's supposed to do. All right, so I'm just going to add oil to the car now. I am not changing the oil filter because I've ordered one and I hasn't come yet, and I'm going to have to pull it off again pretty soon anyway, so I'm not super worried about it. This is just to get the car started and running for the time being. So I'm adding some HPR 5. It takes 7.5 litres apparently, so I'm going to fill in probably 6.5 or so, and then creep up to it because I'm not sure how much is still residual, how much is actually needs to be changed. All right, so I've gone through now and I've taken my power probe, gone through and tested every single terminal that is going to be going into my ECU to double check. Fingers crossed everything else is right, because I do not want to have the same thing happen to this that happened to my factory ECU. That actually blew a laptop, not the ECU itself. But either way, it's time to connect up the Link ECU now, and then see what sort of readings we get. Connect up the laptop to that, and see what we've got going on. All right, we are having wins. We now have the ECU connected. It doesn't appear to be blown. It seems like I have actually connected it properly, at least to the power so far. And it's getting a signal to the laptop. It is connected. It is turning on, which is a very big part, a big step on the journey. I was also testing the starter motor, and I wasn't getting any. It wasn't kicking at all when I turned the key over. I've gone back and looked at my wiring diagram, and actually I've connected up the relay, the starter relay, correctly with the power side to the key. That's still there, and that's connected up to the starter motor. But the ground of the relay was not connected. Basically, that was obviously an immobilizer type thing connected to the factory ECU, so it was getting its ground signal to the relay from the ECU, so it wouldn't let you start unless the ECU said you could. I've now gone through and wired that up to the to a solid ground. So that, again, just studying the wiring diagrams, it begins to make sense. This mystery begins to make sense quickly, and I'll just show you right now that it actually cranks a little bit. Hey, we have power. So That is a big step in the right direction. So we have a starter motor that's connected. The only thing now I need to go through and track down is that I don't think we're actually getting the fuel pump to turn on. And I'm not exactly sure why. So I've got to have a look through that relay. Basically, when I check, the relay needs a ground signal from the ECU to get it going. So let's see if we can get the fuel going, and then we might be able to get online with Link and see if I've done everything right enough to get this thing started. I can hear it. We do have fuel pump. I can hear it. I'm just making sure that nothing is leaking. That's where this power tester is such a fantastic bit of gear. I can actually press on this toggle here, this toggle switch. If I press up, it sends 12 volts coming out the end, and if I press down, it sends a ground signal. So touching onto the wire, it's giving me, showing it's got 12 volts, but if I press the other way, I can hear it actually engaging the relay and starting the fuel pump, and we definitely have fuel movement. I can hear there is fuel going through the system. Yeah! So it currently doesn't appear to be leaking, although I have just realised that I'd never put a hose clamp on my return line. It's not coming off at the moment, but I think I'll go through and just double check that I've connected everything up properly before we get moving, because I don't want a fuel leak, fuel fire. Yeah. All right, so I'll keep you up to date with what I've been doing. So I've been talking backwards and forwards with Adam at Link in New Zealand, and he's been giving me a couple of pointers. He's now looked at what I've done and how I have messed up my ECU install. Not too bad. Most of the things are reasonable. There's a couple of things that are that need to be corrected. My wideband lambda sensors here. Basically, there's a low and a high channel from each one, and I've put them on all on 4 different inputs into the ECU, but there's actually only digital input 9 and 10. They're the CAN inputs, so they actually have to be bridged, both low sides into one, both the other high sides into the other. And I also need to go through and twist the wires together to give a sort of, I think it protects the shielding. I don't understand it. I just need to twist them. And the other thing that is a little more of a pain, I've also got to go through, I connected up one cam angle sensor. I didn't find that there's a second cam angle sensor, but I have to go through and connect that up. Not a huge issue, I can do that. But the thing that's a little bit more of a pain is that I wired this up with the airflow meter, which many of you did point out at the time that, you know, why using that, why using a map sensor, and I just basically thought, well, let's get it going with what I've got. Again, like the pedal, it was all with the mentality, because I originally was always planning on running this with the factory ECU, but it didn't work that way. And to connect that up, apparently it's quite difficult to connect up the airflow meter, because there's not a lot of information of what the outputs, unless you actually get some information on what the readings are coming from that airflow meter, what they actually mean. You know, the ECU can take it, but it doesn't really know what it is. So it's much easier to just change it all over to a map sensor and be done with it. So I've got one on order, but we may still be able to start it without the airflow meter. It's not going to run very well, but I haven't connected up the coolant system or any of that yet. I just want to get it started as it is. So a little bit more wiring. I'm going to redo these little sensors that I need to do, and then we'll see where we're at. All right, so I've now gone through, I've twisted all my wires together for the lambda sensors. So now I'm going to connect these up, connect up the other cam angle sensor. Adam has just sent me through a map to plug into the ECU that should, in theory, at least get the car started. So a little bit more wiring, and then we're going to try and crank it and see what happens. All right, progress. So I put my e-throttle pedal now into setup mode, and I'm going to go through and calibrate my pedal and then make sure that it's moving the throttle body itself. All right, well, it couldn't be that easy. So currently I'm having a couple of issues with a couple of the settings. Could be my wiring, not unsurprisingly. My throttle position sensor, I might have got one of the wires around the wrong way, because there's basically two sensors in the pedal, and one of them is working and one of them isn't. So that could be that, yeah, I've just got one of the wires around wrong. Also, the electronic throttle body on the engine itself is reading high. The message is wrong. So whether I've got the wiring wrong or what, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's right. I did test it when it was in there. So anyway, all right, so I've been going through now and been setting up the ECU and making sure everything is working the way it's supposed to. So that started by calibrating the throttle pedal, which was relatively simple. And then it was trying to calibrate the actual throttle body itself on the car, the electronic throttle, and I was struggling. It was not working, it wasn't powering, it wasn't doing what it was supposed to, and I spent ages troubleshooting, going through all of my wiring connections, making sure everything was right, and everything was wired at least correctly from the wiring diagrams. And after a couple of hours of troubleshooting, I realized I hadn't plugged one of the main plugs into the ECU itself. So the Loom B on the Link ECU was not plugged in. So of course it wasn't going to work. And as soon as I plugged that in, it was working. Basically just a couple of silly mistakes, and everything seems to be working the way it's supposed to now. Everything is calibrated in the software. The last thing that I really need to do is, as I mentioned earlier, I can't use the airflow meter, and because Raceworks is awesome, they have sent me out a map sensor like super fast, so I have a map sensor now to install into the car. Let's try and plug this in now. It's only a 3-wire connection, so it should be relatively straightforward to connect. Let's go into the engine bay now, and I'll show you how I'm going to tee this in. All right, so I have my map sensor wired in now and completely installed. So I just teed into the vacuum line that's going to the vacuum solenoid. That's a nice clean vacuum feed coming in from just behind the throttle body there. And then I've wired it up using the same wiring that I had set up for my airflow meter, but I'm still running my airflow meter because the inlet air temperature sensor is part of that. So I'm still using inlet air temperature from the airflow meter. I'll probably have to change that out at a later date, but at the moment that will work, and I can't pull the airflow meter physically out unless I remove the engine, so it's just easier leaving it where it is. For the time being, the wiring is pretty straightforward. It's just sensor power, sensor ground, and the signal wire, so like pretty much every other sensor on the car. So we have a map sensor on the car, so let's plug this back in and do another test and see if we've got everything set up the way we're supposed to start the car. All right, guys, well, we have everything set up. I'm actually on the phone with Adam at Link in New Zealand at the moment, and he has got control of the laptop. Everything looks like it's right, so now it's time to turn the key and see what happens. No idea, not hopeful, but we'll give it a crack. Give it a crank. Yep. All right, well, we've gone through, it's all cranking, and Adam's gone through, all the signals look like they're correct. Everything looks like it should work. So I'm not smelling any fuel at all. I can hear the fuel pump runs, but it doesn't mean that it's actually coming through to the injectors. Also go through and check and listen for the injectors, listen to all the injectors and listen to all the coil packs, make sure it's all working correctly, yeah, and then try again. Troubleshooting is always one of the most difficult parts. All right, a little bit more searching, and I tried to test my injectors, and there was no sound. There's actually a injector test where you can check each one at a time, and they'll just make it pulse on and off, and you can hear it ticking, and I couldn't hear any of them, and I was wondering what was going on. And I looked back at my wiring. I only wired one side of the injectors. So basically the injectors are grounded by the ECU. So when the ECU, it'll ground each side. It needs power to the other side. All of the injectors, none of them are powered. So all these blue-black wires here, I've got to pull out and connect them all up. And then hopefully that should be it. Fingers crossed we can get it started. But let's connect this up first and we'll see. All right, so we have power to the injectors, so I'm going to go through and do my injector test now. And, aha! I don't know if you can hear that, but injector 1 is working. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We have working injectors. I think that means we're ready to start. And hopefully this time it will actually do something. Maybe. All right, Mrs. Jeff is here to watch the moment of truth. Hopefully, again, this time we'll see if it starts. I think everything is connected now, but I've said that before, so we'll just try it again. All right, ready? Fuel pump. Just run a bit of a diagnostic. There's no coolant or anything in the engine, but it runs. It's loud, but it's not deafening. Although when I give it some beans, it's loud. Yeah! All right. We have liftoff. Yes! Oh, that's great. That was obviously, there's been a lot of work to get this engine in this car and actually to get everything connected. And it actually runs and it sounds good and it's, oh, yes! Oh, I'm happy. It's obviously still got a little way before it's got to run because I don't have any, the gearbox is not connected up properly, the clutch has still got to be connected. There's things to do, but it's running. Yeah. Oh, and I think that is a good stopping point for this video. So hopefully you enjoyed that as much as I did. And
high five.
And Mrs. Jeff has enjoyed it too. It's good to see it's actually there. So. All right, guys, well, hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, please do the usual things, like and subscribe, join us on Patreon, help us out, watch us the videos a day before everybody else. And if you need parts for any of your Porsches, make sure you compare prices at PorschePartsByJeff.com first.
Woo!
Winning! See you guys.